Joe Rogan is once again questioning the rules of MMA, and this time, he's taking aim at one of the sport's most controversial bans. During a recent episode of his podcast, Rogan went off on the UFC's prohibition of strikes to the back of the head. He argues that when compared to other legal strikes, some just as dangerous if not worse, the rule doesn't make much sense. This has been a heated debate for years, but Rogan didn't hold back in making his stance clear. He believes the rule is outdated and inconsistent. Here's what he had to say. You know, Eddie Bravo has talked about this a lot. In the old days of MMA, if you got someone's back, you just drop elbows straight down on the back of their head. Nowadays, fighters
talked about this all the time. The old days of MMA, when a guy got someone's back, they would just drop elbows down on his head. Back of the head. If you have your back and the head is there, all this punching just to the side is not realistic because you realize you can't just lie flat on your back. You better protect the back of your neck because it's very, very vulnerable. So guys would have to, when they lie on the back or lie on their stomach, they have to protect their fucking head, and then they would have to try to roll. They would have to do something to get out of that position. Instead of just realizing that you can kind of hold there and cover the sides of your faces because you could leave the back of your head exposed. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to a neuroscientist, they say that's a particularly vulnerable area, but man, isn't the temple, aren't the eyes? Everything is so vulnerable. And all those illegal. You could elbow a dude in the eye socket, 100% legal. So explain to me why the back of the head is so much more vulnerable. I don't get it.
Rogan's frustration is rooted in how
to throw punches at awkward angles instead of just attacking the most vulnerable target in front of them. The reality is, in a fight, you can't just lie flat on your back or stomach without protecting your neck. That's what made grappling exchanges so much more dynamic back then. Rogan's frustration comes from how this rule changes the way grappling plays out. When a fighter takes someone's back, they have to carefully avoid the center line of the skull, striking only at awkward angles. In the early days of MMA, that wasn't the case. If you exposed the back of your head, you were in real danger. Fighters would drop sharp elbows and hammer fists, forcing their opponent to react or risk getting finished. But today, fighters can afford to cover up, knowing those back-of-the-head shots are off limits. According to Rogan, this creates a false sense of security in situations that should be more dangerous. He also questions the logic of what's considered too dangerous to hit. The eye socket? Legal. The temple? Legal. The jaw? Full force shots allowed. So why is the back of the head treated as untouchable? Of course, the rule was put in place to prevent serious injuries, especially to the brainstem and spinal column. No one is arguing that those areas aren't sensitive. But Rogan's point is that MMA is already an inherently dangerous sport. If we allow devastating elbows to the eyes and powerful punches to the jaw, why is one specific area singled out as off limits? His take is bound to spark more debate, not just among fans, but also among fighters, coaches, and regulators. Some will side with him, especially those from the old school era where every exposed part of the body was fair game. Others, particularly those focused on fighter safety, will argue that this rule is there for a reason, to prevent catastrophic injuries. Either way, Rogan isn't backing down. Once again, he's challenging the way MMA is regulated, forcing the sport to take a hard look at its own rules. What do you think? Should the UFC reconsider this rule in certain situations? Or is it a necessary safeguard that should never be changed? Let us know in the comments. And if you love real MMA discussions that cut through the noise, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an